What's up, y'all? Welcome to episode 2 of Black Barbiez and Books. Today will we What is up, y'all? Welcome to the second episode of Black Barbiez and Books. Today we will be discussing essay number 5 of Thick and Other Essays by Tressie McMillan Cottom. This essay is called Black is Over or Special Black. So, Jakai is going to run down some questions and we're going to get right into it. I'm Anaya.
I'm Gabby.
Danielle here. Hello, everyone.
Okay, so I'll just say I really enjoyed
Wait, Gabby didn't go.
Oh, I thought you...
I said I'm Gabby.
Oh.
My God.
She said as soon as I did.
Okay, go off, Jakai.
Okay, so I really liked this essay. I felt like it was very relatable, something, that we probably had all kind of thought about and or heard about already. The first thing I wanted to ask was, what does it mean to be a Black ethnic versus a regular Black? And in her book, she defines these. She describes Black ethnics as those with another kind of diversity category. So she gave examples like Nigerian, Jamaican, Cape Verdean, Dominican, and Haitian, as opposed to regular Black people who would be the descendants of the enslaved or those who were part of the Great Migration North. So in our group, we have both. We have our Jamaicans, yes. And then we have our regular Blacks.
I'm weak. I'm weak.
I feel like this is definitely something that's going to be an interesting conversation because we have both perspectives here. And I feel like we've both seen, how that categorization plays out. So who has some thoughts on that first?
Well, first, I guess I'll say I think we often, and Gabby, you can correct me if I'm wrong, oftentimes we do talk about our Jamaican side a lot. And I think it's something that we bring a lot of attention to, but we're double whammies. We're three. We're actually three. My mom was born in England and she then...
Her family's from Jamaica.
Her family's from Jamaica. So my grandmother was born in Jamaica. My mom, immigrated to Jamaica and then immigrated to the US. She's three-parter. And then my dad, he was born in Haiti and grew up in New York City. For just context. So I think Gabby and I think we grow up eating Jamaican food. We grew up going to Jamaica frequently. There were things that we were definitely in terms of music. We listened to Jamaican music. It was something that I had friends that were Jamaican. Now the Haitian side of it, I don't think I started embracing that side until I actually learned more about that culture. Both of our parents did a good job of making sure we were informed. However, I think I don't know. I feel like we just knew our Jamaican side better and stronger.
Slightly better, yeah.
Now that we're older, ironically, the cousins that we hang out with now, the people that we see more, the family that we're around more in the last 5 to 7 years, that has been us more embracing our Haitian background.
But I kind of want to know about any separation you've seen or things you've heard in terms of being the Black ethnics or just regular African American domestic Black people.
Not all at once, guys.
I can't. Me and Danielle are from America. We were born in New York.
That's also a very thing. That's an important thing to note too, Gab, for sure.
So I think hearing our parents' stories, my mom especially, because she didn't grow up here when she was younger. She came here in high school, so it was more difficult for her to adjust. My dad, he came here when he was an infant, so it was kind of this is more what he knows in the U.S. From their perspective, it's hard. I can't really speak on it. We are ethnic Black, but we're still from America, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
I was thinking about that when I first thought of the question because growing up with you two, because I think some people that I have spoken with, they've separated themselves more from Black American culture when I feel you two embrace I don't feel like you're I don't know. So, like, I feel like there are people that grow up here and who immigrated here. They're like, I'm Nigerian and I just have to live in the US, as opposed to like
Yes.
other people that come here. They're like, yeah, I'm just Black. Like, it's not that serious. Like, we all Black. You know what I'm saying? Like, we just come, you know, we're all in the same experience. And I feel like that's more you guys anyway, as opposed to like other people I've talked to that are just like kind of separate themselves from like American Black culture. You know what I'm saying?
When I started hearing more people say that and speak up so proudly about their culture, that's when I took a personal interest in learning more about where we come from. And I think that transition happens in high school and a little bit in college, because when I got to college, I immediately joined the Caribbean Circle. Like, and I was like, why am I joining the Caribbean Circle? Like my whole life, like it wasn't something that it was like, it wasn't an immediate thought. We always were involved in like the international festival in high school. We did that stuff, but it wasn't like an immediate thought until I got to college. And I was like, wow, like there are people that here that listen to the same kind of music like I listen to in the car with my mom. And there are people here that know what like oxtail is. And like, I don't have to explain it. Like that was when I was like, oh, wow, this is so cool.
For me, people always assume I'm something other than I am. And so when people are like, oh, where are you from? And I'm like, New York. And they're like, no, but like, where are you actually from? I'm like, New York. I've always been called like racially ambiguous as well, because people assume I'm either like Puerto Rican or Dominican or some Hispanic or Latino country. And I'm like, my parents are Black. No, and because I also have light eyes, so they're like, and good hair, I guess. My curls are looser and all that stuff. I've admired how you guys have another culture, like, or multiple other cultures to grasp onto. Granted, I grew up in your household, so all that food is very accustomed to my palate.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful for that. But not that I don't love Black American culture, because it's something so unique and amazing, but like it is, and for a lot of African Americans, because a lot of us don't know where we came from, it's kind of just like, it gets uncomfortable sometimes because you don't know what to say. Like, and that's just the reality because slavery.
Going off of what Anaya said, like, and even she mentioned this in the book, it's kind of makes us feel like as just like Black Americans, like we don't have a culture. And I think I kind of had to, like, as I grew up, learn that Black American culture, like African American culture, like that is a thing in and of itself. I don't need to also be Nigerian. I don't also need to be like, you know, from some Caribbean or other African country. Like there's plenty of culture here in just being a regular Black. And even the whole like, where are you from, what are you, like, where's your family? When I was younger, I feel like I wanted to be able to say like, oh, I'm also from Jamaica and I have those people in Africa. I wanted to be able to say that. And like now growing up, now that I've learned so much, like now I'm a little offended. Like, this regular Black is plenty. That's Black, that's all I need to be.
Page 143, I highlighted, it says, what kind of special Negro are you? And then a few lines down, she goes, exceptional Black people are not regular domestic Black people, especially in a profession that promotes the idea of Black ethnics as superior Black people. So like there have been on several occasions where it's a microaggression and like they don't, a lot of the time when white people are being offensive, they don't realize it. But like I would be dancing or something and I would come off stage, they'd be like, oh, like where's your family from? Or like where are you from? And I'm like, I'm from here. Like, why are you asking me that? So like it just goes in, and even to school, as you guys were saying before, like we don't have to be not from here to be smart or talented or gifted or anything like that. So.
Yeah,
you're absolutely right. Like my partner is someone that is not like from the Caribbean or is not like from just like another place. Like he's from here and he loves this place and he likes where he's from. And I'm not saying he likes where we are currently. I mean, he loves his home. Like he's from Atlanta. He loves what he knows. Those are his roots. And I think like regular Black people, they do. There's a label. There's like I'm saying you guys because I don't know if I follow. I guess I'm an ethnic Black. Like I have to stick to my label. But like that label of like, oh, like you guys are just regular Black. Like that question, where are you from? Like where are you really from? I think that is so rude. I think that is so rude. Because like someone's ancestry really could trace back here. And I was right. The real tea is that does, we're standing on stolen land. Like we were brought here. A lot of us don't know where we're from because some of our ancestry traces back to slavery. And that's like a very real thing. So I hate that question. I hate that question so much.
Have you guys ever been asked that?
Where are you really from?
Yeah.
No, because every single time I introduce myself, I never really say I'm like Black American. I don't say that in my description. Like if someone asks like, oh, like, where are you from? I say, oh, my mom is Jamaican and my dad is Haitian. That's what they answer. I don't say, oh, I'm from, I don't know if maybe I should change that because I did grow up here. I wasn't born in Jamaica, but yeah, I don't think I've ever been asked that deeper than like, where are you really from? I've never had anybody say that to me.
I've definitely seen that Black ethnic people sometimes have a blind eye towards just Black Americans because like they don't know anything else. They don't realize. And then also with white people, like obviously we learn, you know, not in depth as we should, but about like slavery in school. And I don't think that white people connect the dots that that's like actually what happened and that we literally don't know where we came from.
It's true. They have no idea.
They literally don't know. So like when they ask us and we don't have an answer, they're like, well, yeah, like I know how you guys got here and like why you're African Americans, but like why don't you know? Like it's
and it's like a permanent paradox. Like it's like that's gonna be everybody's answer forever. Like regular Black person will be able to say I know where I come from because literally, I'm sure you can trace ancestry.com is wonderful and I'm sure you could trace it back, but down
it's
to
not
like
100%.
That's just another disadvantage of being Black. Like there's a privilege in the fact that white people won't have that problem.
I was gonna say this as well because I did my ancestry a few years ago and I was literally so excited to have an answer, but I still don't use it now that I know. I still don't say it. I just say I'm Black because even though I can see it and like Jakai said, it's not 100% accurate, but like even though I can see like, oh, I'm mostly Nigerian and I'm from Cameroon and Congo, like that's not how I was raised. That's not the environment I was in. So I still don't have a connection to that. Like, even though I could look that up and be like, oh, like this is where my ancestors are from and this whatever, like that's not Anaya. Like I still don't know that. So it helps, but it doesn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's 100%.
Gabby, when people ask where are you from, like what do you say?
When I was younger, I used to automatically say like New York because like this locale of mine, but then they were like, oh, where are you from? And so I feel like nowadays I just automatically say, oh, I'm like Jamaican and Haitian. Like I just like automatically say that.
So the next thing I wanted to ask everyone your experience of, so like have you heard, because I know I have, but the claim that black ethnics and African students are like more intelligent or more like educated than regular Black people or like domestic Black people?
I feel like it's a thing. Like a lot of Black people just know, like Caribbean parents, especially. I don't like claim any
you're right.
country. So like Caribbean parents, like they put a lot of emphasis and pressure on education. So I feel like that, I don't know if they're more intelligent, but I know education is like rooted into Caribbean children from when they're young. So I think that's like why that's like said.
When you're an immigrant and you were not born in this country, you had to fight to get here and you're Black, that adds like a whole other level of like pressure to succeed because there's family back home that didn't have that opportunity. And that goes for Caribbean Americans, but that also goes for like African Americans, like people that were born in Africa and came here. African students, I think, and I can't speak for them, I can just speak about the experiences that I've heard, have so much pressure put on them in terms academically speaking. And Caribbeans definitely do the same thing. And I think that's because it's rooted in the fact that education is not something that is guaranteed to anybody. And it's also something that was fought for and earned in those countries. And that's usually why they come here, for those same opportunities. Now, with that being said, there is way too much pressure in that community, period. But I think if I had more of an opportunity to like really think about what I wanted to do educational wise, it wouldn't take me so long to have finished school, if that makes sense. Like if I had a lot less pressure like lifted off me because I was so worried about being like a stereotype, being so rooted in culture, I feel like I would have actually been able to plan a life that I want for myself.
Wow.
So that's tea.
That's
tea.
There was pressure on us to finish school, but I don't think it was anywhere to the same degree that it was for you guys. Because like, to me, like growing up when we were in high school, like the thought of like Gabby and Danielle not going to college was like something that was like completely unheard of. Like, I was like, there's no way. Even if and you guys wanted to, but I don't know. I mean, you can tell me if I'm wrong. I don't know if you went to school because you genuinely wanted to or because you felt pressure to.
I mean, I wanted to go to college, obviously, but in my mind, it was never not an option.
I feel the same way. I definitely think, I think now I've like grown a pair and I'm a little bit more vocal about like what I need for myself and what's good for my mental health. And mental health does play a role in this situation as well. Like mental health plays a huge role in education, and it plays a huge role in what's offered to Caribbean, African, whoever, international students, period, because that also, those things are not being considered in that community as much as it needs to be.
Say that again.
I'm just saying, so me personally, would I have gone to school? Yes. I know I wanted to do journalism. I knew I needed a degree for that. I still feel that way. However, would I have maybe, I'm 22, so I went to school at 17, so I could have technically waited. Would I have maybe considered a gap year or waited until I was really mentally ready to go? Because my freshman year kind of messed up my path because I wasn't ready when I went. I had a lot of learning to do, a lot of growing to do, and I messed up. So it delayed the rest. Do I think that if that pressure wasn't on me, would I have went? No, I think I would have probably like done it a little differently.
All right, so the final question that I wanted to talk about was the issue of diversity. So the author says that diversity is basically a BS term. The question is, do you think that institutions' claims of diversity are often false or exaggerated? Or do you think we really are moving towards like more diverse institutions and systems?
We're talking about colleges and universities. Yeah, there's a
yeah.
Colleges and universities are some of the most performative institutions that I've ever like experienced. If that was the case, like realty, all eight hate crimes that occurred on campus while I was there, it probably would have only been 2 or 3 if the school was taking diversity seriously. And that's just tea. Diversity, equity, inclusion, those big DEI and BIPOC and all those big giant new words that people are just throwing around to throw them around. No one's actually utilizing them. I feel like HBCUs do.
100%.
HBCUs should get some claps because HBCUs are wonderful institutions that are actually used to promote Black excellence. And I feel like they don't get as much credit as they should.
One big issue about it too, though, is like, even though you may see like all of the diverse faces in the crowd, are you actually listening to them? Are you hearing them out? Are you taking any action to like help their experience? Or did you just throw them in there so you could say you're diverse?
Were you silent or were you silenced?
Like, because that's definitely my main thing, because I definitely see, like, that's the thing, I see diversity, like I see the inclusion of Asian people, Black people, everybody, I could see it, but are we actually catering to them? Are we hearing them out? Are they just forming spaces for them, or they're just here?
Yeah,
like I can speak on that for like the high school Danielle and I went to. They pride themselves in diversity because they get students from all over the world. It's like an international boarding school, but they still catered to the white students, even though there were other people there that they said, yeah, we're so diverse. We have like so many Asian students, so many students from Africa, so many Black students, but still you weren't hearing what we said. Even when, Danielle can talk about this too, we had a bunch of Black students tried to start like a BSU. We got shut down so quick. And I was like, see, we can't even like have this, but yet you want to say you're so diverse, but we can't even have a safe space.
Even what we did this summer, Gab. So last summer, I guess this was the COVID summer. You know, a lot of people were having issues with the school because, you know, there were some acts that have been accounted that were considered racist and extremely prejudiced and problematic. So a group of alumni from my class to Gabby's class to even maybe below that, you know, it was a group of like 20 or 30 of us. We got together and we came up with a list of kind of a petition to get the school to change some of its ways, incorporate maybe more diverse staffing, incorporate more teachings, race and racism into your curriculum, whatever, things to help Black students. And we did that and we got hell, like literally hell. We graduated how many years ago? And oh my gosh, the school called us like, I don't even know. They said that we were like
They said we were disgruntled alum, and I'm like, I have such a great relationship with like people still there that work there, the faculty, and I'm like, I'm trying to help y'all be better. I love the school we went to. Like, I had such a great time there, but like, you could still do better. And like, their reaction to us trying to do that was just like so out of pocket. I was just like, wow.
It was terrible. Even like, man, it was just awful. And I was just like, you're a boarding school. Like, you guys pride yourselves on diversity. Like, everybody that comes in that school is different in some way, shape, or form. And they couldn't even give us the time of day. And this started last summer when everyone was doing the blackout posts on Instagram, and the school decided to post one with some kind of weird kind of nuanced statement about diversity. And everybody was like, you kind of half-assed this post. Like, you didn't want to post this. You guys just did it because you were supposed to. And we came for them after that. And they like, man, it was just so disappointing. It was just so disappointing. But it's just, that was a perfect example of a school that it's all about propaganda. They could scream diversity from the rooftops, but when it comes down to doing the actual work, they're not with it. And a lot of these institutions are not with it because they're whitewashed.
Mm-hmm. But it's like we always say, ignorance is bliss. It's easier to pretend it's not there. And it's easier to just stay stuck in your ways and to just do what you've been told and what you've grown up doing and stuff. Like, Jakai and I went to probably the most diverse public high school like on this island, and there were and you know, there's a white administration, at least when we were there, and they had some scandals, you know. I won't go into detail and stuff, but like an easy example is that like one of our friends, she had an art project and it had like Black Lives Matter, and it was like it was great, and she wanted to hang it up, but she wasn't allowed. And then there was someone with a Trump flag and like a conservative flag just like walking around roaming the halls, and a Confederate flag, excuse me, just roaming the halls, and they were allowed to do that, but we weren't allowed to, you know, be proud of our Blackness and stuff. So yeah, performative. That's really a performative activism.
Yeah, performative activism. But the performative activism, that was like the message of 2020, because all that stuff happened with George.
Absolutely.
And you know, just all of the other names that shouldn't even be names, but that are all of those social justice causes and movements. Like, everybody's performative. I remember Mayor Bowser put the Black Lives Matter Plaza thing in DC. Like, she wrote Black Lives Matter, or had hired people to write it in front of the
what does that do for anyone? And
I was like, this is cute. Like, I was like, okay, like, I went to go see it. I did. I went down there and I took my pictures. I did what I need to do. But I was just like, in my head, I was like, what is this for?
Instagram.
Yeah. And I was like, hello, I'm right there with everybody else doing this too. I'm like, nobody, but this didn't bring George back. Like, this didn't do anything powerful for nobody. Like,
it literally just reminded me of, like, you know, when you go to California and those like giant angel wings you take pictures of in front of?
Yes.
That's what it reminded me of. It was
literally what it was, like a mural. And I was like, why are Black lives like for fun? Why are our lives like taken as like a fun, meaningless, just rah thing? Like, that's so lame to me.
I feel like another point that I was kind of thinking about, and I think it's important that we bring up too, especially as we're, you know, thinking about this from our Black people eyes, just into like going back to
Black or ethnic Black.
Going back to, you know, diversity. A lot of people think of it in that way too. They're like, let's get some Black people in here, and that's it. And it's like, you're not even including all of people from like Asian countries. Like, there's people from the Middle East that aren't being represented. A lot of Latin people that aren't being represented in all of these spaces. And it's like, I don't know. It's just so.
I totally agree with you,
so,
Jakai.
like,
diversity is so much more than just sprinkling like 2 Black people in there.
Right, exactly. It's like there's so many other like, you know, cultures and different people out there. It's not black and white either, you know what I'm saying?
I guess the lesson is, don't be performative, put the work in and actually do it. All right, so thank you for joining us on our second episode. We hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you follow us on all our social medias. They'll be linked in the description. This is our last episode on Thick and Other Essays. You can get this on Amazon. Yeah, we're all gonna finish reading it, but you know, we're gonna move on to another topic. We enjoyed this very much, and we hope you guys enjoy it, and we'll see you next week.